Hello everyone, my name is Cesar Guerrero and today I will be demoing Fusion Service. This is the product I'm currently working on. I also do Fusion Sales and I have a demo on Fusion Sales. So for now I want to explain what Fusion Service is and then we'll go through the different components, some of the tools that make Fusion Service what it is, and then finally we'll finish it up by going into Application Composer and showing you where you can edit the classic UI. We might even go a little bit into Visual Builder as we go through it. But so what is Fusion Service? First, I'd like to say that Fusion Service is a ticketing system that allows service reps to resolve issues. So think about when you've had an issue, let's say like when you go to Apple and there's a problem with your phone, you might go and you have a wait time period. You sign in at the Apple Store, and during that wait time period, the staff are helping users, and as they resolve issues, the next person comes in, and everything that they do, they're logging those details somewhere, so that way they're able to come to help you with your issues. In essence, that's pretty much what Fusion Service supports, but not with Apple. But the way I've used it is for B2B, so business to business, not business to consumers or customers. But with business to businesses, it's the same concept. You might be selling a product with your business, like let's say you sell printers, and then if another business that purchases a bunch of printers is having an issue, they might log it in a ticket, and then they need, depending on the issues, there might be different guidance to help them resolve the ticketing center. So, or the ticketing issue. So let's kind of go through this page first before we go into a service request. But just want to let you know that there are different areas within service, right? And I've had the pleasure of configuring or working on a good amount of them. There's also something that's not really shown here, but I'll just explain as we go through. So Service Center. Service Center, you can think about it as the new area or work area that Oracle's made in Redwood for users to be able to get somewhat of an analytics on the issues. We'll go through it next after we go through these. My Knowledge, this is for knowledge management, and you might see things like this: My Knowledge Classic, and My Knowledge. It's because right now everything's kind of enabled, but in most instances you would only have one. We have a classic UI, and then we have a new Redwood theme UI. And in the Redwood theme, things are a little faster. I like Redwood. I think as the product's been able to develop, Redwood's been able to enable different features like AI and faster load times. And why is that? It's because Redwood is built on a different front UI called Jet UI. Previously, with classic UI pages, those were on something called ADF, which the page would load all at once. And the reason that kind of had its limitations is because everything loaded at once. So it took a little longer with load times. With Redwood, and you'll see the difference in themes as we go through the different pages, Redwood breaks things up into what we call fragments or different sections. So as one section loads, there's more capacity or internet capacity to load other pieces of the pages. So it's a little more efficient. Service request, this one is for the classic UI, but this is what I was talking about, the ticketing system. We will go into the classic and Redwood UI in a little bit. Cases are a little newer. They're not completely new because they've been around, but cases, I've seen them be used internally. I've seen them be used. The scenario I've thought of usually for implementing cases is a service request. Someone might be having an issue. A case could be like, let's say someone owns a apartment complex, a bunch of apartment complexes. There might be a case overall submitted for the washers going out on all the apartment complexes, but then there might be a service request for each complex, and then something known as a work order. The work order is the work that a technician usually goes out and does for each complex as well. And as each complex or apartment gets fixed, the work order closes, the support request gets updates if the issue's been fixed, and then once everything is completed, the case can be closed. But the case just allows us to manage a bigger issues that don't really have a set end date. So cases can be very important for issues where it may involve multiple service requests that are grouped into one parent. So that's how I would think about cases. Classic knowledge, what I mentioned, it's knowledge, which is like articles where you are able to just reference internal or externally. Internally, users are able to reference knowledge or articles that may have steps to fix issues, and there's even self-service knowledge management or articles that users or customers can go and try to resolve their issues. You might have seen this in certain websites when you buy a product, and they might have some self-fix guides or even self-setup guides on their website. We have accounts. Accounts is really the heart, in my opinion, because accounts connect everything. It allows you to connect all these different objects or areas that we are talking about. And most of these areas are what we call objects in Fusion. So account is really the business that you're doing business with. So when you click on an account, let's say Walmart, you would be able to see the Walmart account that you're working with. Contacts would be the individuals at that Walmart account that you might be contacting. So someone might open up an issue in the SR. That individual would be logged, and this would be the business that it would be logged for. So everything is meant to connect. So the user, the service rep, has the needed details to understand the full 360 of the account and the issue. Service profile is a very cool area that has been made. It is to manage addresses. So previously, before service profiles, users were meant to, in implementation, things would, some of the things that people would do is maybe use account hierarchies. Now with service profiles, we're able to have one main account, and then under that account, I'm just going to give another example. Let's say we have Walmart. Walmart might be our main account, but within Walmart, there might be 3 different Walmarts in your town, and each one of them correspond to a different address. And that's how you know which Walmart you're going to be servicing. A service profile, I don't want to confuse you and say it's an address, because it's not. A service profile is a record that captures the relationship between an account and an address. And we will go into that very briefly as well. I'll show you about it. Install base, this ties to work orders. So in install base, these are the different assets that a different customer may have. So a really cool way to see this is you might have an account. That account will have different assets or assets that are made out of products. So an asset is the instance that a product is sold at. And so those assets will belong to a address. And you as the service rep has to be able to identify what product, where and where you're going to fix it. And Oracle does a really good job of making this a smooth and easy process. Then we also have activities. Activities, you can think about it as it's similar to what Outlook has. We have appointments in activities and tasks that are activities. A task is something you have to do, like maybe after a meeting you have to send out some minutes. You could make a task for that. And then the appointment is like in scheduled meeting that you actually have. So activities come in useful when you're communicating and having to meet and do different things for a service request. Work order, as we spoke about, that's where the technicians go. This is the classic UI one. Queues or queue management, these are the different groups that the different ways we're able to route service requests. So an organization might have a depot team, they might have a service team, they might have an account management team that needs to review, or billing that might have to review the service request. And this allows us to send it to different groups. Or you can even have a simple or more straightforward example is you might have a simple, medium, and severe service level, or service issue type or severity. And depending on the severity, you might have a newer team handling the simple issues, a more mature team doing the medium or kind of difficult issues, and then the severe, there's the product's not working at all. You would have your more senior team there. Analytics, any analytics you might have. Self-service, there is a portal called Digital Customer Service within Fusion Service that uses self-service and registration. So this would be where the users that the request would be where you're able to approve the users who register, and self-service users lets you see the different users. And then Service Center Administration has new AI capabilities in there for all of service that you can look through. So I know I've talked a lot without going into these screens. I want to take you into service requests, and I'm going to take you. I like going through the service center, but maybe after I could take you guys through the classic UI as well. So let's go into the service center. This is the Redwood page. Okay, so in the Redwood page, right now, my account does not have any service requests loaded. That's why you're not seeing anything. But there are a few cool things to see here. You get a lot of analytics. You get any critical SR. So these are any issues. There's usually a little check that you're able to identify an SR or service request as a critical issue. Those would appear here. These are just what we call infolates. So snippets or small little reports that give you a number. SRs are service requests. So whenever you see SR, that's what it stands for. SR is not updated in the last days, so anything that hasn't had any movement. And this allows you to know, there's been a delay here. I have to get to it. So there's that. Any SRs that are waiting on you, any work orders. So this is that technician piece. If you have any open work orders that are assigned to you, you may not be the technician, but you might be the service rep helping the technician. My open service requests, these are where you would have the issues. Then we have conversations. So there's internal messaging within Fusion where you can message someone internally. Maybe I'm a service rep that's not used to all, I may be new and might need help on something. I can message someone on the service request, and this will allow you to see the pings, and vice versa. You're able to see any messages that someone sent you right here. Recent service requests, a breakdown of the service request status by quarter, and then categories. And then service dashboard. These in here, there is a few out of the box dashboards that Oracle has made to help you or help service reps and service managers be able to recognize just different things that they might need. So these are pre-built infolates. So these are, you think of them as mini reports, and then SR overview and agent performance are actual dashboards. So you can change these up. And then the SR overview, I believe these are just the SRs that, an overview of the SRs and their different status. So that way you can see how you're performing or how SRs are being resolved throughout the quarter, or, just some reporting around your service requests. And then you could click into these as well. And then there's agent performance. So this is for service managers to see how their agents are performing. And they are somewhat similar from what I remember. They have a little square as well, where you can click into and see who your top performing agents are. And so the way you think about it, this is for service manager, this is for service reps, and this one on the left is for service reps. I believe you need the service manager role to see this agent performance snippet. So I'm going to go back into the service center because this is more of one analytics area within Fusion. From here, I'm going to go into view my open service requests. And if you see things are a little slower, it's because this is a demo environment. My client environments are much faster than this. And right now, I don't have any assigned to me. But if I hit X right here, and I'm going to hit the X on assigned to me. And now we'll see all these service requests, right? And the cool thing here is when you click in this, what we call an action bar, you can unlock different filters. Right now, I clicked on the last updated date, and you're able to see the different options you're able to report on. On the side, you can add additional filters, and there's also this action drop down that you can change the different columns. And this is important because you can change the way this list views so you can better find, maybe you only want critical new status service requests. You're able to change these lists up here. And there's a create service request button. So I'm going to click that here and take you through a service request. One thing to note that as you work from customers to customer, this page can change. You can configure it. You can configure the majority of pages to better serve your clients or your organization. So for the create page, it's a form that we're able to change up if we wanted to. But in general, this is what we have. So I'm going to fill it out very lightly and show you some of the features that I really like about it. So I'm going to hit the title and I'm going to write test. And if you remember right here, so we selected an account. Service profile is going to let us see all of the addresses related to this account. And I did make a video on setting that up. So this one only has one address, so that's why we're only seeing one. I'm going to click on that. In here, we have the assets. So if you remember, assets are the instances where products have been sold to this organization. If we wait a little second, if you remember, there's some filtering that happens. And if we look on the right, give it 1 second. So I don't think it's loaded completely. So I'm going to click into asset. Okay, so actually I'm going to change my my customer because I don't think this exact customer that or account that I've selected has any product. We're going to select Business World. We can see that primary address. Now let's click on Service Profile. And here, now this is a better example. You can see the different addresses are related. Let's do this one. So this is the address that I'm selecting. This is the service profile or the relationship number. And then the name of the organization. And now we're going to click into assets. So when there's no assets, right now I'm an admin. I believe I could just see everything. But the nice thing is when you have an account or when your account has that you select has assets, it'll filter it so that you only see the assets that that customer has. And that comes in handy because then it refines the search and makes it much simpler for those that are looking for the product. So I'm going to select it, hit select, and then it will auto-populate the product. So right here we can see Power Server Series 100. That will auto-populate. And then, as I said, you're going to get the product auto-populated and then even the billing information. So that's nice. Now you know who's going to get billed for the work. And then if I click on primary contact, let's click on, there might not be any contacts listed, but so I'm not going to add any, but typically what happens is if there are any contacts that are related to Business World, on the primary account, you'll see just the contacts. Again, I'm an admin, so I can get the next feature up, which allows me to see everything. And then service address source. So this is, where are we going to be servicing? Like, what is the address? And you might think that, the asset belongs to that address, so it should be there, right? Well, yeah, you're completely right. We can select it based on the asset. We can select it based on the service profile on the account. Maybe there's one-time address. Maybe you just bought a new site and hasn't been registered, or you don't want to add it because you're renting it for the week and you just need a one-time address. You could select any of these, but and these 4 will pull from their designated area, but the one-time address will allow you to just add that one-time address that you're able to type in. And so one of the nice things about the product is that it with all this data, we're able to feed it and reuse a lot of the information and feed different areas. So it's saying that the asset doesn't have it. So maybe the way the asset was set up, they didn't reference it, and that's something that has to be done in the install base. But in a scenario like that, it doesn't matter because I still have the service profile, so I can go based off that. So this system can be forgiving. With Redwood, we're able to really have a lot more flexibility if we wanted to, or we can make it more strict and change the fields depending on how we set it up. Problem description, that's where we say what the issue is. Again, this is my test SR, so just going to write test. Category is, what category does it fit in? And we're able to group them into subcategories. So you might have an overall account category, but then it'll have a drop down into billing, and maybe we could say it's billing and we don't want to go any further. Auto populates there. Low severity. Who are you assigning this to? I can assign it to myself. I can assign it to someone else on the team. In this scenario, I'm just going to hit create. Darn. So because I'm an admin, I get to see a little more than I should. But you kind of get the point. Let me open up a service request that's already existing. That just with this demo, this might just be a different kind of account. Like I said, I'm able to have access to a lot of things here. And in this demo instance, all of these accounts already exist. The contacts already exist. So I don't know how everything's been set up yet. So let me hit X here. And let's open up a existing service request. The main idea is I wanted to show you the create page. Okay, so let's go into this one. The Fit 3000 installation. All right, so one of the cool things, because one thing you'll see with other Redwood pages is they have different tiles or panels. The service requests team's done something, the product management team has done something pretty nice, and they continue to improve it, where this isn't a tile with account and all the related areas there. They've tried to enhance it so that service users have a more refined user experience for them. So what they've done is anything at the top, there is users can get recommendations or what are known as action plans. Action plans are like tasks or additional related items that can be shown for steps where you can break down how to resolve an SR. Then we have recommendations. This is view all knowledge articles. So this one's a knowledge article. We also get recommendations. So there is a built-in AI that allows us, and I believe it's built in to, it works in the matter of what is filled into the SR in the description. It goes through articles and says, hey, I recommend this one. This one may help you with your issue. And I've used that feature before. We go back, that I believe this one, yeah, this is a action. So, or action from an action plan. So again, these are just steps that have to happen, and you can have due dates for them and set, how long something, an action will need to take as a user's working through a service request. Then we have an AI generated summary based on the different interactions that have happened. And below, I don't want to say it's an audit log because it's not that, but you're able to log any key actions, meaning if the users, the owner of the SR has been changed, or the person assigned to it, if it's been switched from a queue, if you have any conversations, there's a log right here. You can even enable audit log. And then we have some quick action, some quick buttons on up here on the right, at the top right: assign to me, compose it, email, resolve the service request, where we're able to do some quick resolutions. Then we have this bar. This is called the action bar. This bar is very important because it has a list of different actions that we can do. So this is the action bar, and these are all actions. So by clicking add a contact, you could start building a contact record that's related to the SR. And there's also show. So when we say show, you're able to show everything, all the contacts if you select contacts or any of the other items. But you don't have to know all the keywords. You can, in this case, I added add, but you can, as you see, show work orders, you would see all the related work orders. You can say show more, and you'll be able to see more. And a user, as you continue to use the product as a service rep, you get more familiar with the different pieces of functionality. And as a consultant, one of our jobs is also, what I believe one of our jobs is to remove the things that aren't going to be needed, because to me, less is more. So if there are key items that will enhance the user experience, good to have them. Anything that's going to make the process nice and simple that someone might use, but you really want to have it just be the key actions that someone would use. And then on the right are some key fields. This is called the collapse detailed page. So here you'll see some key detail, right? Like the account, primary account, status. If we hit this expands it and gives us before what would be the edit page. And we can do some inline editing. As you can see, there's a pencil below. But when we expand it, we really get the list of fields that truly belong to the service request. And it's, as I mentioned, it's my demo environment, so it's taking a little bit longer to load, but you can see it all enables, and Oracle's ordered it in a way that would enhance or help the user resolve the issue, or based on priority. But I've rearranged these. I've changed them up. Sometimes what I've done is I'll add titles above and break them up into sections. And to me personally, that just helps me and my customers process or enhance their user experience. But that's just something that I do. It's by no means something that everyone has to do, or I'd recommend it, because it would most likely depend by a case by case scenario. So if your customers feel like that's something that helps them, I would recommend doing that. So I'm going to hit collapse. I just wanted to show you the full SR and kind of give you a walkthrough. So that is the Redwood page for service requests. I'll take you very briefly through the classic UI, and then we'll go into a sandbox and app composer, and with that we'll finalize this demo. And at a later time, we'll go through work order and some of the other key areas within Fusion Service. Again, there are a lot of components to Fusion Service, and one of the things I want to do next is maybe show you guys in another instance that I set up how we can make some changes to enhance a customer's user experience. But if you have anything that you'd suggest or you'd like to see, or that you feel would help you as an implementer or maybe as a user, go ahead and ask me. I'd love to tackle it, any questions, and help where I can. So this service request, this is the workspace service request. I just selected it. All right, so in this workspace, what do we see? This is, we didn't click workspace. In this service request page, what do we see? I have no open service request, but you'll see this kind of layout appear in the classic UI. This is the list view. If you remember that area we could filter, we're able to see the filter button here, and there's different areas where we can change the fields that we see. So it just all depends on how you want to set these up. All right, so here we're seeing some service requests. This might be the one we were just on, so let's see it from the classic UI page. All right, so here in the classic UI page, as you can see, it does have its similarities where you have some key information up top or some actions up top. Then instead of having the collapsible page, we have this full layout page where you're able to see it. And then on the left, these are all the related areas or objects or different parts of the system where we can click into. So if we click into contacts, that would be the list of all the related contacts here. So in this scenario, you can see one primary contact, Lisa. I just clicked into contacts, and now we'll see Lisa's right there. But yeah, so how do we edit one of these pages? Let me take you through both. And first I'll go home. And let's start with the Redwood page, because the Redwood page will be somewhat similar. And I'm just going to show you where you would click on a Redwood page. And from there we're not going to actually go to the service request page, but it's the same process. Oh, here we go. We're on a service request. So if you see up here, this is the initials to my user. And you might see right now I'm on the SR, but you can click back home if you wanted to. But for here, if we wanted to, we would just click on Edit Visual Builder. Again, I'm in a demo environment, and there are some restrictions in this environment, so I don't know if I'm going to have the ability to go into one all the way through. But here is one application. Let's see if I can get in. Oh, so yeah, I don't have membership to this, so I'm just going to, I requested it, but I'm just going to get out of that. But basically, that's where you would go. Now that we're back here, let's go edit or I'll just show you where to go for the classic UI page. And App Composer, where we're going to first go into Sandbox, or what is known as Sandbox. So here in the configuration area, you might see Sandbox, so we'll click into it. So what is Sandbox? Sandbox is an area where we can go ahead and make some tests without risking the chance of ruining our production environment. So I'm going to hit, or the main environment, because you could be working on dev, right? But I'm going to hit this plus so we can get into App Composer. I'm going to hit Create Sandbox. And as you can see, I'm just going to call this Sandbox test for now. Or actually, I'll do CG underscore SR details page underscore 719. And why am I doing this? Because at least for me, it's always been good practice to let other developers know who's working in the sandbox. So me, Caesar, what page or what am I going to work? I'm going to work on the SR page and the date, so that way we know when it was built. And to me, this is just good practice to have their this was actually how my team would do it when I worked for Oracle Consulting. And I'll hit create and enter. And when you see that yellow bar up top, you'll know we're in a sandbox. So I'm going to hit tools now. Then we'll get a little drop down. And then I'll click into application composer. So the way to think about it is Sandbox is the layer that allows us to make changes safely before, and we could choose to publish them or not. So when you publish items, that's when things go into your environment, go live into your environment. But if you're in a sandbox, you can kind of break things, and it's forgiving. You can get rid of it. You don't have to publish it. The application composer is where we make changes. And you see some features here, even with Redwood, even though we edit the pages in Visual Builder, there's still components here that work. And I'd even add that there's scripts. Like if there's a script, the database, the way all the data is handled still hasn't changed. So if you have a script here in the application composer, if you have it set up correctly, it will affect your Redwood page. So it's important to know that what you do here does matter. The only difference is when you're editing the page in Classic UI or in App Composer, if your users are using Redwood, they're not going to see those changes. So I'm going to go to the bottom. I went a little too much to the bottom. Okay, so we'll see opportunities. We're seeing more of them. There's no, again, these are, each item you see here are what you would know as an object. So I'm going to click into service requests. This is the object we were just on, and it'll expand, and then we're going to get two different lists, two different options to do. We're going to get fields where we can create a field, and then we're going to see pages. Pages are the pages that we're editing, like the create page, the edit page. Then we have joins. These are all the relationships going on. Actions and links. You can have links. You can have server scripts, so scripts running. So let's go first to fields, and then we'll go into pages. And with that, we'll conclude the video. So let's click into fields. Okay, so what do we see here? These are all the custom fields that have been made. There's also, so these are what you could make, and there's a great amount of fields you can have on a page. However, to me, again, like I mentioned earlier, less is more. I would only add fields that will add value to your customer. So there are times where customers have, especially in legacy systems, where they have way too many fields and not all of them are being used. That I think that allows an opportunity to simplify things and get rid of information that's not really ever captured. So I'd like to say, less is more with custom fields. Standard fields, these are all the pre-built fields that you can already use. I would say have caution with the ones you use, because there are items that sometimes have additional features. So just make sure that before you're adding or changing any of them, you understand what they do and how they can affect other fields. One, for example, and they can also be set up in different areas. One field, for example, is categories. Categories, you can see it, but I don't think you can change it here now for Redwood. There's an area in setup and maintenance where you have to make that change. So these are the fields. Customs where you would add them, standards what's pre-built, and if you ever need to see them, just go into them. The label is what your user will see. The name is the API name, so what would be used to reference with importing or sending data from external systems. Now let's go into pages. So in pages, you'll see there's different areas, and one thing I'd note is that in Redwood, they're kind of broken up in the same manner as well. We have a create page. The landing page is that list view that we saw. Create where we created. We have our details page as well. One thing to know is if you see the standard layout, we can never change the standard layout. What we have to do is duplicate from it, because you wouldn't want to edit the base layout that Oracle's already made. That allows you to, if you make an error, you can always reset back to it. So, but let's take a look at, and all of the layouts that you see above here, like default, HR UK layout, all of these are all additional layouts that someone's made. So I'm going to click on this default layer, or default layout. And again, this one's for the create page, and they all work in a very similar manner. So what I say here will apply to the other fields, the other pages as well. Okay, so here we're able to see the layout. We're able to change it up as well. If you see this pencil, we're change the fields here. So I'll just show you how to do that. And changing these layouts isn't difficult. Like the pattern would be you create the field, and then in the create field page, and then we can move them around here and make different sections. This was a little easier than Redwood. With Redwood, we have something called rule set. It can be easier, but there's just more that goes into the pages. But yeah, I think for this, that's pretty much it. Please let me know if you have any comments, questions, concerns. I would love to help and continue to give my input. So with that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you, everyone.